Some of the important questions that need to be asked. How much money has been paid in restitution? Where is that money today, and where are those communities and those families today? How much of the land has been taken by government officials or some of their friends, whether in business or in politics, through corruption? Land was bought through government money from a white landowner and given to a cadre, to a comrade somewhere, or to one of their friends or their family members. How much of the land that has been taken, that is maybe under state ownership, is currently being leased to politically connected people? I'm aware that some of the land under state ownership is being leased to politically connected people at some of the most ridiculous amounts. In this country, we've got golf clubs, huge pieces of land, sports clubs, huge pieces of land that are being leased to either companies or non-profit organizations at something like 1,000 rand a year for something like 100 hectares, if not more. There are politically connected people that are farming, that have game farms, that have nature reserves, etc., on 500 hectares of land, 1,000 hectares of land. And they have 30-year leases, 50-year leases, 100-year leases, 99-year leases with the government, where they are paying 100 rand a year, 500 rand a year. These are some of the conversations we're not having because land is not being discussed. Some of your most famous ANC politicians own farms. No one asks where they get these farms from. There are farmers today, they own livestock. Where did you get the land from? And was the process fair? Was this land meant for certain communities? And you guys decided to take it. Let me wrap up this data, and this data is what's going to be most important. And this data is what we need to talk about more than anything. South Africa has 122 million hectares of land. Half of this land, if you want to call it half, is farmland. At 37 million hectares of the 77, a big majority of that farmland is owned by white people. Some of it by coloureds, some of it by Indians, very little by black people, 3%. But black people have been trying over time to buy some of this land. They've been trying to challenge government and to get some of this land. Some have been successful, some not. Of this big pie of land that we have called South Africa, 14% is under state control or ownership. 14% of the land is under communal, tribal ownership or control. Under trusts, Yongonyama Trust with 2.8 million hectares. There's land owned by the Royal Bafokeng. There's land in the Eastern Cape. There's land in Mpumalanga. There's land in the Free State and other parts of the country that is under tribal ownership, where 17 million people live, or 16 million people, 16 million South Africans live. We have got black people that, through labor, teachers, police officers, administrators, nurses, have managed to buy their own pieces of land, residential and urban land, their own houses. They've gotten title deeds in the townships. Some of them have been able to buy small holdings, plots, farms, if they can afford it. And they've been accumulating land as they can. Some through businesses. Black people that are running enterprises that own land and are constantly trying. Our government has failed to take this land audit of 2017. Look at this 122 million hectares. Ring fence all the land that black people were forced off of and say, as of tomorrow, this land is now under state ownership. So instead of 14%, you go to something like 70% of the land. Yes, white man, you will remain on your land, but please know that until we resolve this, this is not your land anymore. Cause the markets to shift and people go crazy. We're turning into Zimbabwe. You're like, we're not doing that. We're fixing the 1913 Native Lands Act. But we're not going to do it clumsily. But we're not going to allow these people to retain their land. Stay there for now. But the title deeds that you have, these companies and trusts that own this land, don't own it anymore. It is now under the government. Yes, we'll put your trust, your company, your private title deed next to it and say, yes, it's currently under this family, but this is state land. And until we resolve this issue, please know that at any given time, you will lose this land. You'll either get compensated, you might not. You might be asked to partner with certain black communities to work this land. And if you guys are agreeable, you can stay on this land forever. You might have to lease this land from us, or you might have to buy this land. And we'll say that of this 70% land that was owned by the state, we have successfully sold this to white people. We have successfully leased some of this to white people. We have successfully passed some of this to black people. We have successfully leased some of this to black people. And we are in a very aggressive process of fixing this thing without affecting the economy, without forcefully chucking white people off, but making sure that there is justice, at least land and spatial justice in this country. Very importantly. And if that's not going to happen, we need to agree as a country, we need to agree as South Africans that it's never going to happen. And black people need to be honest about we are never going to get the land back. This is the current situation with the land. And what we're choosing to do is to make money and buy up the land parcels we can and redistribute it to our people. Or we are willing to illegally occupy parts of land. That's how informal settlements, squatter camps pop up. We are going to illegally occupy certain pieces of land. I remember Julius Malema saying, if you find a piece of land that you like, go occupy it, which is against the law. But you are trying to fix unjust, unethical, immoral laws of the past, and your current government is not helping you. We will occupy this land which was owned by our forefathers, etc. Or you pick up arms and you fight. You go there with guns. Government will have to try and make a plan somehow. Maybe they'll come and fight you back, and you'll say our government is now the ones oppressing us, like the apartheid government, like the British government before them, to say we do not want you to have land. It is not for you to have. Or black people can say, you know what, it's fine. Let's keep things as they are, and from here, we'll never get the land back, and let's just move forward.